Hi everyone, my name is Sarah Seeley and I'm a librarian here at Portland Community College. So in preparation for this next essay that you're writing, an argumentative research essay, I pretended I was you and I chose a topic, and in my case I chose the DREAM Act. And in order to get started on my research, I really needed to free write a bit and figure out what I already knew about my topic. And so as you've been prompted to do, you have done some background research on your topic, and so you know something about it. So this is what I have written about my topic and what I know about the DREAM Act. So the DREAM Act is an act of legislation that hasn't passed in Congress yet, that would give a path to citizenship for undocumented students. And so as I'm scrolling down here, you can kind of read a little bit about what I've written about the DREAM Act and what I know so far. I know the criteria for what the DREAM Act criteria are for those undocumented immigrants, but then I also have a lot of questions, such as, what is the opposition to the DREAM Act? So what are the people who don't want it to pass? What is their argument? Why hasn't it passed? What are undocumented students doing to advocate for themselves? What I know about the movement is that it's been really put forward by the students themselves. And then this is where I've landed in terms of my research questions, and I think the one that is most guiding my thinking right now: how might the passage of the DREAM Act affect this generation of U.S. immigrants? In other words, what are the implications for not passing the DREAM Act? So through my free writing, I have come to the point where I have this researchable question. And it's a question that I can actually take a stand on. And it also shows that I know enough about my topic to write a researchable question about it. And then, but when I have a search box in front of me, I'm not going to type in my research question. Instead, I'm going to be typing in some terms, some search terms. So here are some terms that come to mind when I have that search box in front of me: illegal immigrants, undocumented students, DREAM Act, and then this fear of deportation. What is it like to be an undocumented student? This is a question that I have and that I want to follow up on. So this question of fear of deportation could be a good search term. My next step as a researcher is to go out to Google and to see what kind of news coverage might have been going on when the DREAM Act last failed in Congress. And I know in 2011 there was a lot of movement on this issue, and I'm sure that the news covered it. And I know the New York Times is one of those reputable news sources. So in my Google search, I type in New York Times, DREAM Act with quotes, because that's a phrase, and so it'll be more precise if I use quotes there, and 2011, which is the date. And I have several articles that have come up here. And so what I'm doing now is I'm going to demonstrate how you can use news coverage or web coverage of your topic to bridge to more academic sources. So this one point is really jumping out at me because of the title says it's focusing on students and their concern after the DREAM Act has failed. And it looks like this New York Times article has some interviews, firsthand accounts with students and their feelings after the DREAM Act didn't pass. As I read through, it also points out to the opposition for the DREAM Act and what the Republicans were doing to make sure that it didn't pass. And here is a link that might go to more information on the opposition to the DREAM Act, which could really be good for me. In fact, clicking it, I see it's going to lead to more sources that are going to be useful for me. And as I'm reading down the text, I notice that another person or expert that the journalist has interviewed is Mr. Gonzalez, who is a sociologist at the University of Washington, who has surveyed young illegal immigrants. And then there's this great quote here that I'm really going to want to follow up on. They had a lot of hope that their activities were going to change the minds of the country. Having the door slammed in their face hit many of them really hard. And so I'm really curious about how Mr. Gonzalez knows this, and because he's a sociologist, I'm guessing he studied this group of people, undocumented students. So now how would I use this information to go find more like it, more of the original source? So I'm going to choose to go out to Google Scholar. Google Scholar is a specialized Google search engine that weeds out commercial websites and just looks for more academic scholarly sources, including books and also journal articles. And the web address is just scholar.google.com. And I want to point out at this point that if you're off campus, under settings right here, you can go to library links and then search for Portland Community College and check the boxes as I've done here. And that will build a bridge between Google Scholar and the PCC library. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the author's last name, Gonzalez. That's the sociologist's name. And then I'm going to put in undocumented students, because that's the group of people that he was looking at. I'm going to point out a few of the tools in Google Scholar that you're going to want to use. First, when you find something that you in fact do want to use for your paper and you want to cite it, you can go ahead and click the Cite link and it will give you the MLA or APA or Chicago citation for that thing that you're trying to cite, and you can copy and paste that into your Works Cited page. The other tool that you're going to want to look for is under More. You can do a library search that will look and try to connect you and bridge you to the library. You'll also notice that free PDFs will sometimes float here over on the right hand side of the screen. What you don't want to pay for these resources. Some of these will be freely available and some of them will be pay for. So you want to look for links to either the free PDF or back to the library. So for this one, for example, there's a full text at PCC link. I'm going to click that and see if we can get this through the library. It's looking right now. It's looking for the article in the library resource and it's found it and it's loading here, but you'll notice there's a full PDF on the left hand side, and so that's a way that you don't have to pay for this. If I had clicked on this title right here, it would prompt me to pay for it. So looking down here, I noticed that there are several articles, including this one, Learning to be Illegal, Undocumented Youth and Shifting Legal Contexts in the Transition to Adulthood. This is looking at what is happening with this group of people who are undocumented students as they move from high school and then look at their options as they move towards college. And this is I'm going to see under More here whether we have it in the library, and I'm really hoping that we do, because this one looks very good for my research. And this is a case where in fact it says, sorry, PCC doesn't have this item. I'm making it bigger there so you can see. But look, you have a couple of options, including setting up your interlibrary loan account. First-time users just register and then you submit a request and you will get the article via email within usually it just takes a few days. So even if you can't find it through the library, we can get it for you. But luckily right here, I have a feeling this might be a free PDF. And it is. So someone has posted this online and somehow gotten the copyright clearance in order to do that. And it's a journal article from the American Sociological Review, so that looks like it would be a pretty credible source for me to use in my paper. And finally, I just want to make sure you know how to get directly to the library website. Under Quick Links, you can click on Library, and that will take you to our website. If you need help at any point while you're doing your research, I highly recommend chatting when I'm not teaching or in a meeting, I'm on chat, and same with my colleagues at the libraries here at PCC, and we are happy to help you. Feel free to explore our website, and good luck with your research.